What's up, roomies? Everyone loves to laugh, but not everyone realizes how powerful laughter really is. Like, yeah, it's fun, it's entertaining, but for some people, it's the one thing that gets them through really tough moments. Today's guest took comedy and turned it into something bigger than just making people laugh. From stand-up stages to performing for cancer patients, veterans, and people going through some of the hardest moments in their life. He's using humor to he's using humor as a way to bring a real impact. He's a comedian, a motivational speaker, and the co-founder for Comics for a Cure. Jerry, welcome to Neighbors. How you doing, man?
Good. How you doing?
Everything's good. Here enjoying the day off. Finally, you know how
Nice.
that goes. So,
Nice.
how's your day been?
Day's been good. It was busy at work. Like I'm semi-retired, so I'm blessed. I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. How hard is that? How can I?
I, w-
How
I
can?
wish I wish I had that schedule. My job be slaying me, bro. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
What do you do? What do you do for work?
I'm a property manager out in the Bronx in New York.
That's right. That's right. Oh
Yeah,
my God,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
That's like more than full time. That's like,
Yeah. Believe me, even on my days off, I got at least 6 to 7 phone calls from those
oh
jobs
my
asking me what's
God.
going on and things with clients and tenants and stuff. Yeah. So
It's hard
yeah,
enough for
but
me to take. Hey, it's hard for me to take care of my cat, for God's sake. You know.
you telling me that's how I'm feel about my dog. But it's cool though. Like I don't mind the responsibility, but it's just like they don't really respect my off time though. So,
Of
but
course
uh,
not.
I guess I signed up for it.
How long you been doing it for?
Right now I'm going on about I would say about 8 years doing it.
Wow. You're a
Yeah,
martyr. God bless you.
yeah, believe me, but I can't wait to get up out of that. I'm telling you. So Jerry, when did you realize making people laugh could actually like change somebody's life?
When I first started doing comedy in '93, it was more of a challenge, but partially into it, probably a year into it, some guy asked me to do a benefit. He goes, "It's for AIDS patients." I go, "Oh, all right," because back in the '90s, AIDS was kind of prevalent, and so they said, that'd be great. We're raising money for awareness and everything. Oh, and by the way, in the audience are AIDS patients. I go, oh, really? So,
Oh,
I did my best and, made him laugh. And then some guy hooked up with me after that, my friend
yeah,
Tony Marcus, and he said, let's do benefits and fundraisers. And we did them. And I realized that there are times that at a fundraiser or at a show, there could be the patient who's suffering. One guy had ALS once, and one time it was like a family, someone having major surgery, and they were all there. But I know that somehow, besides the normal benefits you could think of, it kind of takes them away from what's going on. It's not going to
yeah,
make them forget things, but it just. So I realized that with every show that I do, it's like not only does it benefit the individuals, but it benefits me. It feels good inside just to make people laugh, and it's kind of like a high.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You get all that dopamine rushing.
You got that, yeah. Whatever it is, yeah. You feel it, and when it's a great show, it's like it's like unbelievable. It's like nonstop, and it's like
Yeah.
you own the stage, and they're your fans or they're your audience, and you just key on them. Just don't look at the people that don't laugh. That drives you crazy.
No, I get that. And like when did you actually like start doing comedy and all that?
So 1993, I started doing comedy. In 1994, I co-founded Comics for a Cure. Probably like a year or so into the business, and that's when I started to do it. And as the years went by, um, after 2010 or 2009, I started to do motivational speaking, talking about laughter is the best medicine. One of my funnest shows, I had to do like brain injury patients, and they were at
Yeah.
a rehab center, Spalding Rehab in Boston. And it was so great. I made them laugh for an hour, talking about laughter is the best medicine, the health benefits. And then, so as I look around, I'm done, and I'm saying to myself, I got to leave on a positive note. I gotta make them feel better. How do I do
Yeah.
this? Because as I look around the room, people in wheelchairs, missing limbs, crutches, walkers. And I'm like, what am I going to say? So I look at the crowd and I say, hey, hope you guys and girls get better. One guy in a wheelchair looked at me, he goes, you too. So, I love it. I love it. I'm like,
oh man! And when you have these shows, right? Do you like kind of like go off the vibe of the crowd and like kind of like joke around with them with like their own ailments, so it could kind of like make light of the situation?
I let them dictate it. Like if they want to talk, like you usually know if the audience wants to talk, and if they do, that's fine. But other than that, I have my set 45 minutes to an hour that I'll do, and I'll just sit there and say, but if they start talking, then that's a different story because sometimes I did brain injury patients. So the thing about brain injury patients, and I still do them, is that they, how do I put it? In February, I had a show for a place called a Brain Injury Community, and my
Yeah.
wife was telling me, like, I went to the little boys' room, and she said, "Oh yeah, the manager talked to everybody. The manager of the house talked to everybody and said, Jerry's going to tell jokes. You can ask him questions when he's done." They said, "Okay, we understand." And my wife goes, "You should have full control." 4 minutes into the routine, I'm talking about being Italian, and I'm talking about pasta and sauce. And
Yeah.
so one guy goes, "I like pasta." I said, "Oh, that's good." He says, "Do you like it too?" I says, "Yeah, yeah." He says, "What do you put on it?" I said, "Sauce, gravy, sauce. What are you going to call it?" He goes, "I just put butter on it." I go, "You're half Italian." And then somebody else said, "I put cheese on mine." I go, "You're Irish." And it kept going through. But they became, a part of my routine. But I respect that because I know that, not that they don't have filters, but the house manager told him, "Hey, don't talk till after he's probably gonna do an hour, and you wait 4 minutes." That's all it took. So but it's
Not, but
cool.
no, but that's dope. Do you find it like more like exhilarating when like the crowd kind of like participates, even though like they're going through shit?
Yeah, because sometimes if they want to talk about it, I think it's cool. But the only problem is if I've got a crowd of like 50, that's an example, because they're like group homes and they don't have a lot of people, but that doesn't scare me. But once one starts,
Yeah.
10 more chime in, and once those 10 go, 5 more chime in. But it's kind of cool because they're telling me what they went through, and how tough it is, and I just joke around with them about it. So it's kind of cool because people say not a lot of comics can handle brain injury patients because comic just wants control.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of them have egos. I don't have an ego because I can care less. I just use the gift God gave me to make them laugh, and that's it. And if they want to be a part of it, I'm not going to get mad and say, "Oh, I can't talk to you." I just let them have at it. Then I go into my set. Then I'll look at them and say, "Any more questions?" They go, "No." I go, "Good. Let's return to comedy." And then they start laughing because they said, "Oh yeah, you are doing comedy." So it's cool, and I don't mind. And whereas cancer patients are different. So since I'll say 2012 or 2013, I've been doing shows at Hope Lodge in Boston. And in New York, I think there's a big one in New York City, by the way.
Yeah.
And it's for cancer patients and their caregivers, and they could stay for nothing, use the facilities while they get driven back and forth to have their treatment. So it's kind of
Yeah.
cool. But they're very attentive. They want to listen. However, you have to be careful because you got to realize that sometimes they're going through a lot of crap, and they may get up and walk out. And I don't say anything like normally, you'll play with the crowd. It's something I said, but I know that they're going through
Yeah.
chemo and uh, radiology and all this stuff. So I'm not, if they're going to leave, they'll go, "Sorry." I go, "No worries. Have a good night. Get better." And that's it. And that's it. So every group is different. And the thing with brain injury patients, people don't realize is right now I'm talking way too fast. If I did a show for brain injury patients, they'd be lost only because they comprehend so much. So
Yeah.
I'll just like slow it down a bit. I don't mean going like this, but just slowing it down a bit so they could understand. You know.
No, for them to keep up, I get that, and because of the fact that they have like cognitive issues and all that stuff, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah. So like when you're doing like comedy for like people with like brain injuries or like cancer and stuff, is there like any like group of like This sounds messed up. But is there like a specific group of like people that are going through things that you find that are cooler to like, do comedy for, or like do you like, or is it just what it is?
Cancer patients seem like the best ones because they've gone through a tough day and
Yeah.
they want to take it easy. And what better than me telling jokes? I'll have my friend Paul Durant's open for me. He'll do 15, 20 minutes, and then I do like 45. And I look at the crowd and they're laughing like 40 minutes through. I go, don't worry, I got 4 hours left. And they laugh. And they're looking at me like, you think you got 4 hours left? But, cancer patients usually the most receptive. Whereas I've done people with different diseases where they're okay. Brain injury patients, meaning the only exception where they're different. I did one for Parkinson's group a while ago, and you couldn't tell they had Parkinson's. Like
Yeah.
people go, "Can you tell?" I go, "Not really." Like one may have showed the signs, but again, same deal. They'll start to participate. They'll go, "I got a joke for you." I go, "Am I doing that bad that I need help now?" And they start laughing, and I let them tell their joke, and I think that's cool, because you want them to feel special, and you want them to feel like you're their friend and you're bonding with them. Although one time I did a brain injury community, the guy gave me a tour. He was brain injured. He goes, "Here's our kitchen." He goes, "And we get all our food here from that thing over there." I go, "The refrigerator." He goes, "Oh, good. You know what a refrigerator is?" I go, "Yep, yep, yep." And I'm going through. At the end of the tour, he goes, "I hope you enjoy your stay here." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Aren't you joining us home?" I go, "No, I'm the entertainment." The guy goes, "Oh," like, "What'd you think? I was brain injured?" He goes, "I didn't want to say it." I go, "Boy, I think I look screwed up and not that bad, right?" And the guy,
You ain't that bad, Jerry. You
yeah.
good, man.
But the guy, I just tried to make the guy feel like, everything's okay. Don't worry about it. But everything, it's so different because all audiences aren't created equal. There's all different types
Yeah.
of audiences. But I love doing like stepping away from the clubs because I've done clubs for a long time, and now it's like it doesn't matter. I'll do veterans, I'll do cancer patients, brain injury communities, support groups, and it's so different because no one's drinking there.
Yeah.
Usually, I don't mind the alcohol because the more they have, the funnier I am. That's what I tell them anyway.
Damn, bro.
So, but it's so different because you don't have the alcohol. I mean, I hate to say it, but the alcohol does help you because they're all loosened up where, someone's on, chemo, they're not hepped up or anything, or someone's
Yeah.
taking meds for Parkinson's, whereas if someone's having alcohol, they're laid back and they're ready to roll, but it's all good. It's all good.
No, I feel that. And alcohol is usually the social lubricant. But were you
Oh
always
God.
like the were you always like when back in like your younger days, right? Were you always like the funny guy and you like kind of knew comedy was like your path?
Yeah, because when I was like growing up, so I'm 100% Italian.
Yeah.
All we do is yell, okay? And they say it's not yelling, it's discussing. But anyway, I would start picking apart my relatives at the dinner table when I was in the 7th grade. And so my mother and father didn't think it was funny, but all the rest of the family did. But well, maybe I was gearing it toward them. But I always thought I had that ability. And then 7th and 8th grade, I'm entertaining kids like I went parochial school
Yeah.
where the nuns are hands-on, if
Oh,
you
but
know what I
believe me, I
mean.
know. I went to Catholic school too.
Oh, did you really? How
Yeah,
many
yeah.
years did you go? How many years?
From first grades all the way to senior in high school.
Cut it out. Me too. That's why I'm
Yeah.
like this. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I
the
mean,
the repression.
I got hit so much by the 7th grade. I enjoyed it. I'm like, all right.
All
Hey,
right,
I've
you
been naughty,
masochist.
get out the stick. But yeah, I mean, hey, when I entered first grade, they told me you got the toughest nuns from St. Joseph's in Notre Dame. I should have known better. My first grade teacher, you know what her name was? Sister Mary Jo Frazier. Anyway,
Oh
whatever.
my God.
I love it.
Sister Mary Joe Frazier. God damn.
Love it. I was a Joe Frazier fan anyway. But I mean, Catholic school was a great upbringing. So from that point on, like at least the schoolyard, I have my own audience because Catholic school,
Yeah.
it's like a mini prison for young kids where we had tall chain link fence with barbed wire on top. It
Yeah.
it was like a prison. I go, Jesus, And worst of all, we had a defunct saint. Ours was St. Patrick, and they go, he's not really a saint. I go, well, I'm really a Catholic, I think, but
I think like that.
from that point on, I just knew it.
That's what's up. So like when did comedy become more than just jokes for you? Like when did you say, all right, cool, I'm gonna like take this serious, start going to the clubs, start like actually putting myself out there?
Like getting out of the club scene or
No,
entering the club scene?
like getting into it and finally like finding your groove in comedy.
What happened was in 1993, a big comedy, the comedy club is still there. It's called Nick's Comedy Stop, and I worked at a big company, so I was a big IT guy, and my manager, they had me said, "Oh, can you roast this woman? She's leaving our department, right? The department was 30 people deep." I go, "Can you tell me anything about her?" They go, "Nope." I go, "What am I gonna do?" They go, "Just tell jokes, do voices." So I did it. Didn't know her from a hole in the wall, and everybody had a good time. So one of the directors came up to me. They go, "If you go to Nick's Comedy Stop, we'll be your audience and we'll follow you there." That night I get there and they want you to bring people like all these comedy clubs do.
Yeah.
And I'm looking out the window. The guy goes, "Where are your people, big shot?" I says, "They're right down there." They go, "What do you mean?" I go, "In the parking lot comes a school bus." It was like the Partridge Family on acid. I go, "Oh my God." They come stumbling out of the bus because they're all drinking on the bus except for the driver. So 13 of
Yeah.
them came out and they were my audience. And from that point on, I did good. I had my ups and downs, like anything, like musicians and
Yeah.
anybody. But I just stuck with it, and I just knew that the stage was my home away from home.
I get that. I get that. And you said in '94 you started comics for Cure, right?
Yep, me and my friend Tony Marcus, good dude. He says he goes, we gotta start doing benefits and fundraisers. Call it comics for something. I go, I don't know, comics for a cure. He goes, brilliant. And from that point on, he booked a bunch of shows, and he'd be directing it, and I'd be getting the comics, and I'd make sure everybody got equal time, and we were very successful at it, and it's still going on since 1994. So we just hit what 30 years, 32 years. Oh, it's utterly amazing. And last night I had a show for a girl battling breast cancer, and they had a blast. And I got this auditorium free, but they couldn't have alcohol, but that didn't matter. So
Yeah.
it was like a whole roulette of crowd. It was like there were some little kids there, and I kept telling the parents, "What do you want to do?" They go, "Don't hold back. It's going to go over their heads." And I go, "Oh, okay." But we did good, but the age range was like from 6
Yeah.
to 80. So it's like
Mm.
that's you don't see that. You don't see that. It was a challenge, but it worked. We raised a lot of money for them too. Cool.
That's amazing. So like, how was like the first show that y'all did as comics for a Cure?
The first show was, like I said, not that wasn't the first show. The first show that we actually did was related to AIDS again. Some woman did AIDS education where she brought packages to high schools to tell them about how to avoid it, what not to do, what to do. And we did it, and it was in my hometown that I lived in at that point. So it was a real high because I had all my local friends and some of my family there. So it was really, really cool. I had the home field advantage. Let's just put it that
Fire.
way. And it just felt good because I had a headliner. Like I wasn't a headliner because I wasn't ready to headline back. I only had 2 years, not even 2 years under my belt, but it was really a great experience. And people say, well, we do this more often. So I used the same quorum of guys and girls, like there were 4 or 5 of us that would do a show and we'd alternate, but it was just such a great experience. And now it's like we cut down to like, 3 of us or sometimes 2 of us, and we make it happen. But it's so different because back then I thought 10 to 15 minutes was an eternity. And now it's like, someone goes, "Can you do 10 minutes?" I go, "That's all?" Because I'm
Yeah.
used to doing 45 minutes to an hour. But it was great. It just, like I said, you get that high, you absorb the energy of the crowd. You just go with it.
That's so cool. So like how many years into like into comics for a cure? Did you like actually start like headlining the shows and like
Probably maybe 8 to 10 years into it, because my friend just told me, he goes, "Look, we don't got a headliner. You should be the headliner." I can't be the headliner. And I went at this small place that held about, they broke every file out if they had 45 people there, and they filled the room. And I started playing with the crowd. Of course, there was a drunk there, and that was easy to play with him because he just didn't know where he was. And so I just played off of him. And then my friend had urged me to do it. My friend Larry, God rest his soul, he goes, "Jerry, you're gonna keep doing it. You could always put yourself top billing unless you have a really major headliner act." But I just started doing chunks of time, and it made it so easy for me to do that. And all audiences. One audience I had for the Cancer Society, a Relay for Life, I had 23 little girls, ages 10 to 13.
mm,
I'm like, you're kidding me. I just started saying, boys stink, they're stupid, homework's dumb, and I'm playing with them. And the mothers walked out, they go, "They're in your hands." I go, "No, please stay. I want people to laugh." But I just started to, interact with them about school and math and all kinds of stuff, and wearing makeup. I go, "Look, I don't wear makeup, but you girls don't need makeup yet." They go, "Hey," it's like, oh my God, like I'm from Vogue magazine. Give me a break. But it was fun because it just taught me to do a different kind of audience, which is hard to do. Kids are hard to do. Seriously.
no, I believe that because since they're like since they're some jokes don't really get it, or it's like
Yeah.
it's too mature. Like so like when you're getting prepared for like a set, do you like kind of like cater to like what audience you're gonna be kind of like working with, or is more or less like you already have like a set prepared and you're gonna go in it and like adjust on the fly?
I have a set prepared. So there's two ways I do it. If it's an older audience, and I dig real deep into my heritage because it makes it easier
Yeah.
because they want to hear that. But it's so funny. Like, I make fun of aging rock and roll bands and stuff like that, how they're making a comeback and they're in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. Like I say, like, I don't mind them coming back, no matter what they do. I says, but they got to stop singing about sex, drugs, and rock and roll, because you're over 60, you sing about no sex, meds, and social security, and stuff like that. And I keep thinking these people aren't going to know the songs, dude. When I do like assisted living or senior centers, I'm like,
Yeah.
wait a minute. Some of these people are 10 years older than me. They know the people who I'm talking about. I don't
Yeah,
have to say,
definitely.
oh, let's do Sinatra. No, they don't care. I talk about Al Green. They all know Al Green. I talk about the Doobie Brothers. They all know that. I go, what am I thinking? However, sometimes if it's a younger crowd, I don't go too heavy into my heritage, not because they don't understand. Like, it all depends. If I say any Italians here and more than 10 people are there, then I may delve into it. But I can adjust. Or if it's a younger crowd, I know I want to give them my best shot first. Like I'll open with something like I told you about the rehab center.
Yeah.
Hope you guys get better. You too, or I'll do that. And yet I'll even share jokes. Like, if it's not my joke, I'll say it, and I don't do it that often. But a cancer patient. Let me tell you one joke. Can I tell you one?
Yeah, of course.
So this cancer patient, he was in his late 70s, and we met him back in 2016, 2017. His name was Oscar. He goes, "Jenny, I'm going to share you some joke. You tell him my joke on stage?" I said, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." And here's one of my favorite jokes of his. Three beautiful girls go to the beach, dressed in bikinis. They look hot. They're beautiful. Great day. And they're walking along the sand. They run into a handsome young man with no arms and no legs. First girl goes, "I'm so sorry this had to happen to you, but have you ever been hugged before?" Young man goes, "No, I haven't." Bends down, and beautiful girl hugs him. Second beautiful girl goes, "I'm so sorry too. You ever been kissed before?" He goes, "No." She bends down, gives him a kiss. He's happy. Third girl was from, let's say, the Bronx, right? She's from the Bronx. She goes, "Hey, I'm sorry too. You ever been screwed before?" He's smiling. He goes, "No, why?" She goes, "Hang on, high tide's coming." So
Oh shit.
So these are the kind of jokes that, believe it or not, like, cancer patients come up to me and they'll tell me jokes, and if they're worthy, I'll say in honor of, and this guy's name was Oscar. Like, I'll
Yeah,
tell the jokes. So it's really cool because you know where they're going, but what they appreciate. Like, so if I go to the Hope Lodge in
yeah.
Boston, sometimes it'd be 10 people, 20 people, 15 people. And most comics would be like, oh, small crowd. This is going to be terrible. I just do it. I do it like I'm doing it for 100 or 1,000 people. And they'll go like, you make me tired with all your energy. I go, hey, I'm 70 years old. I don't care. And they go, I'm tired watching you. I go, well, close your eyes, but it
Just
makes it
listen.
fun. So you adjust to your audience. Like, one time I had to do a baseball show, like for, kids baseball.
Yeah,
And I'm saying to myself, oh, yeah, they'll be near my age range. I go, wait a minute, pal. These kids are like 10, so their parents going to be in their 30s, maybe 40s if I'm lucky. My target audience is 40 and up. Don't get me
yeah.
wrong. I don't mind 30s and 20s. But I knew I had to start off because the first comic did okay. Second one did good. And I just, being a headliner, I just wanted to nail it. So I just started with the cancer patient jokes and, jokes I don't think they've ever heard before because they hit home. Then I could ease into whatever I want to. So you got to make adjustments sometimes. Yes.
No, I get that. I get that. And like, has there ever been like, do you have like a favorite set that's like so memorable to you that you was like, oh, that night was like perfect for me?
Don't get jealous, but I had to do a balloon fair once. I don't
A
know where I
balloon for a while.
It was up in Maine, in Lewiston, Maine, which is in the middle of
Wait, wait,
nowhere.
wait, hold on. What kind of balloons are we talking? Like hot air balloons or like?
Yeah, hot air
All right, all
balloons.
right, all right. Cool. I'm
Like,
just
I
trying
pulled up
to.
with pulled up with my buddy. He goes, "What's going on?" I go, "Hot air balloon fair." He goes, "And what are you gonna do?" I go, "I'm not gonna go in one. I'm just gonna tell jokes." Well, they had like 6 of us, and the first 4 rifled through their material because you're talking um, thousands of people, and they're out
Yeah,
standing there. It's it's like Woodstock, on crack. I'm looking at these people; they're all standing there, they're milling around, and you had to get their attention. First 4 comics, their 5-10 minute sets became 4 and 6 minutes because they rifled through it.
yeah.
My friend Mark did a good job, and he did like 15, 20 minutes. He goes, Jerry, all I want out of you is 35, 40, clean, squeaky clean. I go, yeah. And I did it. It was so rock star. They had the angled microphone, big speakers beside me, and
Yeah.
everybody out there just staring at me. And it turned out in the audience, I knew 2 of the people. They were totally drunk, but they laughed at anything. And they go, "Oh my God, you're so funny, Jerry!" And I'm like, "Oh my God, get away from me!" But they laughed, and people were laughing at them because they weren't afraid to speak. And that whole night, it was like I did 40 minutes, squeaky clean. Had them, I don't like to say eating out of my hands, but they pretty much were. Where the other comics, like, how'd you do that? I go, you just have to embrace the audience and just give them what they want. And I just started off with things I thought would work, but it was so easy to do 40 minutes. Yet these other ones, they were like our show was supposed to be an hour and 15. I had the bulk of the time, hour and 15 to an hour and 30, where the other ones didn't. But it was just a great feeling, just like thousands of people. And you're talking kids, young adults, elderly people, farm animals. There was everything there.
Said farm animals.
Probably, because they.
Oh shit, that's crazy.
Yeah,
But
it is.
like we all have like our great experiences, great time on stage. But like, is it the the good times on stage versus like you bombing? What teaches you how to like really polish up your act?
Yeah, bombing teaches you, and bombing started in the early days. It was more bombing than in Iran now, for God's sake. But it was like but it would teach you. Yeah, sometimes you walk off stage saying, "What am I doing here?" But sometimes you get these bars where these people aren't even listen, or a guy's got his head on the bar. That means he's passed out. He's not going to listen to you. But
Yeah,
it like taught me to keep going. And one thing people used to tell me, my friends go, you just keep going. You're like a bulldog. You just keep going for the leg, and you just want to get them to laugh. So I taught myself to like, if someone said go do 15 minutes, I'm gonna give them 15 minutes. If they want a half hour, I'm gonna do it. Whereas I've seen people who were the last act after me say, if you want to do a little more time, because they knew I could do it,
Yeah.
and you could take some of my time, and I'd never say anything to the club owners. Like, oh, how'd that guy do at the end? They go, oh, he did great. He did his time. I go, oh yeah. They go, nobody likes this place. You like this bar. Why do you like this bar? I go, I don't know. I'm bonding with my people. I don't know what it is, but half of them are on, drugs or alcohol. But I just try to bond with them, and bombing taught me that you could do good. Like, give me that situation 10 years down the road, it'd be totally different. So
I get that. I get that. And like, excuse me. Right. So the question just completely slipped my mind. I'm sorry. But wow. Hold on. Give me one moment.
that's okay.
Remember. All right. When it comes to like comedy, I know it's a lot of work and it's you gotta put the effort in. Can anybody be funny, or is it like you gotta have the juice for it?
Anybody's funny, like I teach it too, because I've been teaching since 1999, and I teach people. Everybody's funny. You got to have funny stories about you growing up. You got to have funny stories about your aunts and uncles and grandparents. You got to have funny stories about you doing stupid things, or you first dating, or you breaking puberty, whatever you want. It's all there. It's just a matter of how you present it. Like, I've had students go like blah 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 blah. I go, no, no, no. You have to punch it up with emotion, because you're trying to sell it to people. You're like
Yeah.
being a salesman for yourself. You're trying to sell them. I'm going to make you laugh, and if you don't make them laugh, that's your problem. But 9 chances out of 10 you will, if you believe it. So innately, we're all funny. You all have funny stories. I'm sure you have a ton of them. If you go back to your family life, or even work,
Oh, yeah.
what you do for work now, I imagine you have a gazillion stories.
Oh
But
my God.
that translates to a lot of people.
Well, I can actually tell you a funny story too.
Go ahead.
Before I actually became like the property manager I was before, I was working at a storage, which is kind of like in the same lane, right?
Yeah.
So we were getting ready to we were cutting locks to get people ready for auction, because if you don't pay your shit, we sell it. So I'm opening up this young lady's storage up to take pictures of what the contents of the room were. And the minute I open it up and I stick my head in the room, a double-headed dildo just slaps me across the face.
Oh my God.
And like at the time I was working with my best friend as well. He starts dying. I start crying because I know how she looks like, and she's not. She was in the Marines, and she was a very masculine woman. I don't want to say a dyke, but she was a very
That's
masculine
okay.
woman.
That's okay.
So I just started crying, and my best friend is dying at me. I'm like, yo, I'm like, F you, bro. Like, shit ain't cool.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I mean, you have all these situations where I'm not saying everybody has a dildo story. Trust me,
Yeah.
I don't have one, but it's like stupid things always happen to us, and if you remember it word for word, you don't even have to say anything funny to make it funny, because it doesn't happen to most of us, and that's what makes it funny.
Yeah. I think it's like it has to do with like a combination of like irony and like timing
Yep.
of it as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
Absolutely.
like how important is timing in like comedy? I know like I've like heard other comics stressed out that you have to have good timing and like
Yep.
know when to like punch in and like punch out, kind of.
Yeah. So with timing, and I always try to teach these comedian wannabes, like, hey, don't like I tell them, if you're feeling good and you're getting laughs, you have to pause, and that's part of your timing, because you could run over your laughter. Like, if you told 3 jokes in a row, and those are 3 of your best jokes, and they're laughing their heads off at that first joke, well, by the time you get your second joke, they're trying to catch up to the second joke, and you get less laughter. You're still getting it. Then you go to your third joke. Well, by the time you get to your third joke, people No, half the people know your second joke. By the time you get your third joke, it's probably a quarter to a third of the crowd because you're losing them. So you have to have timing. Now, when to fold them, like if I'm closing, and typical shows are 90 minutes. I
Yeah.
will test them. Like if I'm on a roll, I'm on 50 minutes. And I know it's like near the hour and a half mark. I go, do you want more? And 9 chances out of 10, they'll say yes. If it's one person, I select these comics. Oh yeah, they'll say, can I be a little dirty? And one person will say yes. And I tell people, don't listen to one person. That's like a voice in your head. You got to make sure people are in unison. And the same thing goes like, hey, can I do a little more time? And if it's like 10, 12, 15, 25 people saying, yeah, do a little more, and I'll do a little more. And that's how you usually do it. But you have to know, if you know they're tired, and you see people getting fidgety, then you just save your best for last, get them at that and say, hey, thanks a lot. We'll see you again, and all this stuff. That's what you're going to do. Timing is everything. Believe me.
I get. And what's like your perfect set time for you? Like, what do you like to do? Like 45 minutes, an hour, hour and a half?
45 to an hour. Like the longest I ever did was like an hour and 18, hour and 20. Then I did another show. And ironically, the ones I did real long at, believe it or not, were church shows where I had to be clean. And one of them was an hour and 10. And it was like all updated equipment. The stage was gorgeous. And yet they had their own comic, which, they laughed at her anyway, because she belonged to the church. They're going to laugh at her anyway.
Yeah.
She goes, I did really good. I go, yeah, you're also a member of the church. If I was a member of church, they'd be carrying me out, And then the second guy did real good. But then I said to myself, so I kept pausing, like I'd start like a joke. I go, oh, I can't do that. I'm in a church. And they're laughing at it. I go, you know where I'm going. Or I'd say the word, and the next line, I go, this rhymes with that word, but I can't say it in church. And then they're laughing. So it's like, and then the other one was they were doing a benefit for a girl fighting cancer. And I did an hour 18. Everybody kept saying, keep going. And I kept looking at the cross behind me saying, forgive me, Jesus, because I won't sin here. And I watch my P's and Q's. But yeah, so the ideal time, 45 minutes is ideal, but I can do an hour very easily. And I don't mind that. And I try to practice by doing shows like where I'm the one-man show and I have to kill an hour. And sometimes it'll involve crowd work. If they start talking to me, like I said, no, I'll talk back to them. I just don't shit on them if they have a disease. I don't say, oh, you have MS. Oh, sorry to hear of it. I'm not into that. So.
No, of course.
But yeah,
you want to be at least a tad bit respectful. You know what I mean?
Oh God, I always am. I think Catholic school taught me that. The guilt.
The guilt thing. Yeah.
Between my Italian mother and nuns, forget about it.
Listen, Jerry. The only difference between Italians and Dominicans really is the food.
True, but we both like spicy food, right?
True. We both do enjoy good food.
And if you went to your mother's or your grandmother's or your aunt's house, there's enough food to feed the neighborhood, correct?
Every single time.
That's
and if there's not something already on the stove or next to the stove,
yeah.
Once you walk in, they're asking what you want them to cook up.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's every 15 minutes too. Like, you sure you're not hungry? You sure you don't want to eat?
I used to like the Italian tradition. Like I'm married, and my wife would go. She was adopted in an half Italian, half Sicilian, and I'm 100% Italian. So we go in and eat. It'd be like a 20-course meal, and everybody can't move, and so all the men go in the other room while the women clean up. And I was like, I'll help them clean up. No, you're coming with us, and I go in the other room, and they're sitting there talking about what's going to be the next meal. I go, are you kidding me? I got no room in the inn at all. And they're talking about what else are we going to eat in an hour or two. We're going to make sandwiches. We should go out and get pizza. I go, Jesus, help me. I just had lasagna, manicotti, meatballs, sausages, salad. I had all that, and I got room for more. And they're unloosening their belts. And they're talking about what they're going to eat next. Is Dominican like that too?
Oh hell yeah!
Isn't that
But
crazy?
it is. But at the end of the day, it's so. The one thing I truly appreciate is that like through the Dominican culture and Italian culture, food is love,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
That's how like we express our love to each other. Like, yo, I'm gonna cook you a great meal, you're gonna eat,
Yep.
and we're gonna keep eating. And that's really it. And that's like it always amazes me when like a culture has that. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Especially the fact that I grew up with that.
And don't you feel bad for cultures like English, Irish, Scottish? They don't have anything.
They got no
They're
flavor.
done in a minute.
They don't got no flavor.
None. I've had people go to England. They go, the food was good. I go, that's an oxymoron. Cut it out.
Yeah, I've never heard anybody ever say that England has good food.
All right.
Except if it's like from like another culture, like Indian or like Jamaican or something like that.
Right.
That's what I've heard. But when it comes to like straight British, I'm like, nah, I've never heard you say like,
That's not true.
I've never heard somebody say, hey, you know what? I could really go for some British food today.
No one says that. Any fish and chip places here in this Italian neighborhood? Yeah, get out of here, please.
You never have the fish and chip Fridays.
That's right. That's fine.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So, but Jerry, when it comes to like clean versus dirty sets, what do you prefer?
I prefer it clean. Like my favorite to do is PG-13, where I don't use the F-bomb, not many sexual references, but it's sort of flexible. I don't mind doing clean because it's and I know comics that won't do clean. They'll be like, dude, I can't do that. Or I'll say, don't swear. They go, I got to use just the F-bomb. I go, that is a swear. They don't want to swear. So I know I could work around it because you could do cutesy words. Like instead of shit, you can say poo-poo, and people laugh at that because that's a funny word. Pee-pee, you could say that. So like PG-13 is ideal. But if someone tells you to work clean, I'm not afraid of that. God gave me that ability to work clean. And I know if I work clean, the old saying is, if you work clean, you could work anywhere. And, easy to make a clean joke dirty, harder to make a dirty joke clean. That's the old saying.
That's a big fact. And do you feel that like comics that only do like dirty sets, well, at least I don't know the proper terminology, but dirty sets that that's kind of like a cop out for like them not being able to like pen a clean set, or you got what I mean? Like
no, I know what you mean, because it's like try to think of an example. It's like when comics are stuck. Like I don't like when women make fun of their husbands or husbands make fun of their wives, and they get deep and dirty about it. Well, to me, it's like A, it's disrespectful. C, they can only take so much. B, and then C, you're going to lose half the audience. Either the guys are going to like it when you're making fun of the women, and vice versa. So to me, that's someone that works filthy and dirty. It's like if someone's before me or the whole crowd. Like I'll give you an example. In a big town in Massachusetts, we call Worcester. I had to do this show. It was in a hotel/bar. And so the guy goes, they're all young kids there, right?
yeah.
Participated in the show, all dirty, all filthy. And I went up there and did the opposite. I closed the show clean. The guy goes, how did you do that? I go, don't you think that the crowd gets sick of an hour of filth and they welcome like 45 minutes of like maybe clever comedy and somewhat on the clean side, or you could go edgy on it just a little bit. So, I just think that anybody can be dirty, use the 4-letter words and talk filthy, but it's like, I just think it's like, you don't need to be dirty to be funny. That's all I say.
No, that's 100% facts. And I also feel that comics, and this goes as well for music as well. Like when you're using like too much profanity or you lean too much into like I would say rated R content.
Yep.
You kind of like not really like using your full creativity, because you could make a clean joke hilarious and you could make absolutely. A clean song pop. You know what I mean?
Yep, definitely. That's so true. And the ability to perform clean in any genre, whether it's music, poetry, comedy. It's a powerful tool, and the more people will walk out, they go, that guy, that last guy was very funny. They remember the ones that are edgy, and I didn't mind that guy, but he swore a buck ten. Like I just worked recently with a comic that's older than me, but he just started leaning on the four-letter words. And I think he was trying to appeal to the younger crowd. I didn't have to because I just tried to bond with them in whatever way I thought,
Yeah,
and it worked for me. He did great, don't get me wrong, but it just made it hard. And another example is sometimes you'll get comics that'll tell all recycled jokes. It's not their jokes, but they make it theirs.
yeah,
And yet I could go through every joke and said, I heard that in the eighth grade. I heard that when I was 13. I heard that when I was in high school. Heard that in college. And it makes it difficult, like if I'm the closing act, because then the crowd expects like everybody's going to be dirty. Everybody's going to tell these street jokes,
yeah.
which is not yours. And I'd rather not do that. But I've heard many comics who get really disenchanted, say like, I won't work if so-and-so is on stage performing because that's going to make it so difficult because the expectation of the crowd is like, oh, he's going to do street jokes just like him. And it's like,
No,
I won't bow down to that.
not for you, and that's what's up too, because it shows that one, you're showing off your creative side, and then two, you're showing off that you have integrity amongst yourself and you stand with your product. You know what I mean?
Definitely, definitely, and you want to have that because you're more memorable when, like you said, when you go on and you're creative like that. Whereas if you're not creative and there's all these f bombs and four-letter words, people are gonna remember that. Boy, that Jerry was good, but boy, what a potty mouth he had. Jeez, I could take so much of that, and there are guys
Yeah,
that get that way too. So like, I can only take so much of that. If it
sure.
keeps going and going, then it gets old after a while. That's the way I look at it anyway.
Yeah, definitely. But a properly placed f bomb in like a story joke, could set off the crowd. You know what I mean?
Amen.
But
Amen.
but that's properly placed. Like, have you ever had it? Have you ever had the experience that you close out a show and whatnot? You're done with the show, and like somebody from the crowd comes up to you and is like, "Yo, I really needed that laugh," or you made my day 100 times better just from like bringing me from like a dark place to like me laughing.
Yeah, it happens to be. It repeats itself at the show that I do for patients like who
Mm.
are cancer patients or brain injury patients. I like when the cancer patients will come up to me and go, I had a tough day. You just helped me forget about that tough day. And I'm like, and then one older guy told me from another support group, he little Italian guy, he goes, Jitty, I had a really bad today. I had to go through these tests. And they didn't feel good. Then I think about some of your jokes and it making me feel better. So they were taking my jokes with them, which is kind of cool. But there are always these people, yeah, when they come up and say, even if they're not battling any diseases, they'll say, I had a tough day. I needed this badly. Thank you very much. And that's that. And then I'm like, oh, good. That'll be an extra $20. No, I don't say that, but
Are
but
you
it
going to
makes you
slap me
feel
a
good.
tip?
Yeah, that's right. But it's like it just makes you feel good knowing that God gives you that ability, whether you're a musician, a songwriter, a poet, comedian. God gives you that ability. You just got to use it and use it right. And once you do that, it's not about the accolades because it's all about Him. That's what I say. But it's just knowing that you're doing something good, knowing that you made people laugh, or knowing that when I first started doing comedy, this is so funny. Like the headliner would go, "Oh, you are really funny," and I'd be standing with the headliner, or three of us would be, "You were good too," which means you really weren't. They're just trying to be nice to you.
Yeah.
But now it's the opposite. Like I'll do a show. I did one last night for a girl fighting cancer, and one girl goes like, "I didn't know what to expect, but you made my night." I go, "Oh, good, thank you." So it's all good. It pays off in the end. I'd rather have that. I'm not saying that I won't take the money, but most benefits of fundraisers I do, I take less money. I want them to get the money because I got a job. I'm on
Yeah.
Social Security. My wife is too, and I'm doing okay. I'm not rich, but it's like I'd rather have them get it. And but to get the compliments that they say after a show, it's all worth it. It makes it all worth it, man.
But that's what can I say? That's the craziest thing about life, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like people's like definition of wealth,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you're a wealthy dude. In life standards, you're a wealthy dude because you're out there, you're sharing your gift with the world, right? People are
Mm-hmm.
appreciating it and receiving it. And then they're
Mm-hmm.
telling you, yo, hey, listen, you made my day better. And then the thing about it is like I've noticed is that when you help people, it's always more gratifying than you just helping yourself.
Yep. People say to me, like other comics are saying to me, "Oh, you do Hope Lodge for cancer patients." I said, "Yeah." They go, "How much did you get?" And I hold my heart. I go, "This is what I got. I don't take any money. I just do it once a month with my friend and sometimes other comics students. But it makes you feel good inside knowing that you did something." And what we do, like most performers, and you've noticed, like musicians and comics and what have you, sometimes they're done and then they go backstage or they. But I tell these people when I do shows for cancer patients or support groups, brain injury patients, I go, I'll hang around. You come talk to me. And 10 to 25% of the people will come and talk to you, whether they're sharing their day, sharing a joke, telling you what you did for them. And that's an awesome feeling, man. That's a high right there.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely is a high, bro. Like I totally agree with you on that. And since you've done comics for a cure, right? Have you seen how laughter affects people's like health and emotional states?
Yeah, because when I do motivational speaking, which I've done that since I don't know the 2000s, I find that like I tell them about it, how it helps. Like laughter helps your brain, your bloodstream, your heart, and your lungs, for the major components. And it just like especially your brain, it takes you away from being depressed. It takes you away from sad feelings. It takes you away from the busyness of life in general. So it slows you down, and yet it has a healing power too. Like many nurses have told me, it has a healing power because you look at people before the show, they know they're hurting. Then they see them after the show, they see a different person. So it's like it has the healing powers. It helps you breathe better. It helps your heart. It helps your blood flow. I mean, it's amazing. The most amazing part about it, and I tell people this when I preach it. Not that I'm a preacher, but I tell them
Yeah,
like it develops the T cells, which are the killer cells that go
yeah.
after the cancer cells. So if you're laughing, it helps the development of those T cells, which are very important to have. Like you notice people that are angry and bitter and mad, they're not happy people. I'm not saying that
No,
they're more susceptible to disease, but they're setting themselves up because they're not laughing, they're not taking time out. Even if you read a funny book, you watch a funny show, or you listen to a comedian, or you do comedy, it makes a big difference.
no, it really does because, like I said, the dopamines and the production of your T cells, those are helps people. It helps people out, and like throughout your experience, in comedy, right?
Mhm.
Um, what has comedy taught you about people?
It teaches me that like what you said earlier, like it teaches me that people need it. And I don't care what political persuasion you are. It doesn't mean
Yeah,
people always say, oh, everything's bad now. No, it's not bad. You think it's bad because you listen to everything. What you have to do is your perception of everything. But comedy takes you away, it gives you that vacation from reality, whether it be an hour and a half, half hour, whatever it may be. So I've learned that it just makes an impact on people, also helping you because you can go in to a show in a bad mood because of something happened at work, you know, or something happened at home, or something happened with a friend, and you try to get out of it, but it's so easy to crawl out of it when you're making people laugh and you're hearing that laughter. So I've learned that comedy is such a big help to not only to my audience but to me too.
I got that. And if someone's going through a tough time right now, what would you want them to remember?
Mm. I want them to remember that, yeah, things can get worse, but try to think of things getting better. Trust your faith, but also, learn to laugh and be happy, and it's going to make a world of difference. Like I'm not saying it's going to cure a disease. I'm not saying because you lost somebody. The nice part about doing comedy is I tell jokes about my mother who passed away, and she never saw any of my shows. And
My condolences.
ironically, at her wake, my brother goes, "You got to lighten it up, Jerry. Our sister and her daughter are going to bring the house down. Say something." And since she didn't come to any of my shows, I look at her. She's laid up behind me. I go, "Mama, I love you. We missed the parties. We missed the food. We missed the holidays. We'll miss you." And then I pause and go, "And you finally come to one of my shows, and it brought everybody up. It uplifted everybody. And then all of a sudden, you see people start telling funny stories about the person that passed because that's the way they want to remember them. Not there's no joke. I've seen them both. What's the difference between Italian and Sicilian wakes? An Italian wake, they'll be like, and I've seen it both sides, like through my family and my wife's family. Italian wake to be like, oh, he made sauce before he died. Oh my God, his meatballs are great. Oh, she made a lasagna last night, but before she took her last breath. Whereas the Sicilians would be like, they were so young, and I'd be like, they were 101. So there's a big difference. So the Italian side is jolly and happy and trying to remember the good things, the funny stories, the quotes they used to say. And the Sicilian side is like, oh, let's be sad. This is terrible. It's a terrible thing. Yet they don't realize that when it comes down to it, you talk about the humorous things about that person. You want to remember the good times, and they're looking
Yeah.
down from heaven, saying like, I'm glad you're making jokes. My God, let's get the party going. Just stuff like that. That's the way I
Nah,
look at it.
I get that. I feel that, and it's true because, all right, even though death is, it's a terrible time. Anybody passing away is terrible,
Amen.
but at the end of the day, instead of sitting there bawling your eyes out, you also kind of want to celebrate their life and kind of
Yep.
bring the good spirit that that person had because that's what you're there remembering. You're not remembering all the sad times that person had. You're trying to remember
Right.
the light, how good that person was to you, and all this other stuff. So you might as well try to like bring bring up that celebration of their life. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and that's why the funerals have become celebration of life now because it makes a big difference. Whereas they try to remember the good times, not like, oh my God, they battled this disease. It was very tough. Of course, it was tough, and you respect that fact. But you also want to respect the fact how do they want you to remember them, and part of what they want to be remembered as. Did I make you happy? Did I make you laugh? Did I make you smile? And there you are bringing up stories and sometimes it's a tough thing to do. Sometimes you feel out the family. Like I lost one of my students. He died in his sleep. It was one of those things. And I was reminding them of a story that after he took my course for 6 weeks, he goes, Jerry, I need your help. I go, what can I do for you, Bill? He goes, I want to get on Jay Leno or David Letterman or Arsenio Hall. I go, what are you kidding me? I go, I've been doing comedy 15 years. I'm going to help you get on a TV show. And as the family started laughing, they go, that sounds exactly like Bill. He thought he was that funny, yet he he didn't. He did one show, with me, and that was that. But it helped the family to realize like, oh, you got him nailed. You know how he was, and that's how they wanted to remember him. And yes, his girlfriend was sad, but I told her stories too, about the
Yeah.
individual, just to make him show, he had a lighter side to him too, so it
No,
was cool.
no, now of course, like I said before, when it comes to death, yes, it's a sad moment,
Yep,
but we also have to bring in that celebration of life too. And
absolutely.
and Jerry, before we sign out, right? I always ask all my guests this: do you have any final thoughts, words of wisdom, or advice for the roomies?
Advice is always find time to laugh. You don't laugh all the time, but people think you're deranged. But you just laugh as much as possible. You never know how you're going to impact a person. You don't have to be a comedian to make people laugh. You may have a joke that you heard, like a tasteful joke that you could share with people, and you're going to make their day. You're going to make the impact where they might have, lost their job 3 weeks ago, and you don't know anything about it, or they may have lost their pet. There's so many things that they could dwell upon. But if you make them laugh, they're going to walk away and say like, "Oh, I feel a little better now." It's not going to cure things, but it's going to make them feel like that was good. So always learn to laugh and have a good time, and you never know how you're going to affect people.
I feel. And with that being said, roomies, remember, laughter is the best medicine. Keep it positive, keep it light. And you don't always got to use profanity and dirty content to make people happy.
Amen.
With that being said, peace out.
Peace out, brother. Thank you very much.